Real news. True, honest, and not fake news.
But I'm freaking triggered, as I told you earlier, because, okay, if you don't know already, this is Real News, and I'm here with Vincent. We're pissed off because, okay, Melania Trump, who is a nice, very non-political, non-partisan first lady, how dare she do what she did?
She's tacitly supporting Hitler.
She is now
Because
a
Trump
racist.
Actually, she's worse than Hitler, so she's worse than Hitler too.
Oh my god. She probably is at this point. All she did was she took a bunch of Dr. Seuss books, wrapped them up in a bow, and gave them to a library because, I don't know, that's a nice thing to do.
I thought it was a school.
It was a school.
A school library.
But yeah, they have a library.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm still pissed because they called it racist propaganda and they turned it down. They rejected her books because Dr. Seuss now is racist propaganda. Dr. Seuss. This is a guy that wrote a book called The Snitches. I remember reading it in back in the day where it literally was condemning racism for its silliness, but apparently that's racist now. Racist propaganda. And this is the same librarian that wore a freaking Cat in the hat at like some celebration party. And Michelle Obama gives them Dr. Seuss books. That's okay.
Like I said, it has nothing to do with whether or not the we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. We're off the table start.
Like I said before, it has nothing to do with whether it has nothing to do with that, like the books actually being racist, and everything to do with
everything's racist now. Everything.
You good?
I am not good. You keep going.
Which one is working?
I don't know, actually. Let's see. This one sounds bad. This one sounds better. Okay. Sorry, people. We're dumb.
Okay.
Yeah, just pull
Jesus
that
Christ!
cable.
I'm coming through my own headphones. This is
Continue.
wonderful technical difficulty.
Yes.
Anyway,
Can't get this anywhere else.
this is top quality content.
Top quality.
It's clearly it's because it's Melania Trump, and it's because every person to the left of Hillary Clinton in this country is being bombarded with propaganda from the mainstream media constantly. Telling them that Trump is literally worse than Hitler, and that anyone associated with him needs to be violently,
Killed.
physically removed, as Hans Hermann Hoppe would say. But
Yeah.
that's not really the right reference. Anyway, anyone else could have given them those books. Anyone without the last name Trump could have given them those books, and it would have been fine. But because it's Melania Trump, somebody has to make a stink about it. And you know what? I'm sure this little librarian.
She is little, by the way. If you see the picture of her, she's very little.
Oh, okay. Well, she's a librarian. I mean, she was either going to be small and mousy, or she was going to be fat. Anyway, anyone else. And the only reason why this little librarian is doing anything is because she wants her 2 minutes of fame. She wants her interview on CNN. She wants her I don't know, she got one, but she wants to be quoted in the New York Times. She wants all of her other, liberal Democrat friends to be like, "Oh, wow, you're so brave. You turned down Dr. Seuss books. Wow, what a brave thing to do. You really stood up to the oppressive system, man. Hats off to you for your just courage,
Rebellious act
to reject and deny your students one of the greatest children's book writers of all time."
Yeah, we like Dr. Seuss here. Okay.
Yes, I'm a fan.
We like
of
Dr.
Seuss, and it
Yeah.
It's only because he's a racist propagandist that's why as all Democrats will tell you, the only reason why any right winger likes anything is if it's racist propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm quite a fan of Dr. Seuss because he's a racist propagandist.
Well, because I initially heard on Twitter when they show the trending topics and it said Dr. Seuss, I thought, oh, it's probably his birthday or something's happening. And then I read the story and in my door I literally shouted 4 times.
I mean,
what?
At this
what?
point, yeah, I was in class.
I was
and
triggered.
I was like, wait, I had to read the headline 5 times. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
It's Onion. It's not Onion.
Yeah.
Like I read it, I was so because there's like a lot of dumb stories. I'm used to this crap, but like this one really got to me.
I mean,
this one impressed me.
In all fairness, most of the outlets that I like, the people talking about it on Twitter that I saw, like the news outlets talking about it on Twitter, like they really weren't sympathetic towards this woman. I think they realized that she was just an attention.
Attention. Yeah, I know which word you're
Attention.
thinking of. It begins with a WH.
No, I was trying to like harlot. There we go.
Whoa.
Attention, harlot.
Big word.
And you know they were basically saying they were reporting it factually, which is as much as you can really hope for from these places, but it's still absolutely it's so absurd that anyone reported it at all. I mean, that anyone reported it in any other way than like, wow, this woman is crazy.
She is beyond crazy. I mean, just because they like this is a guy that's on their side basically. He's anti-racist. He's on everybody's side technically, but he's on their side. He was like you said earlier. He's
far.
progressive.
Like you're giving him too much credit.
I'm
like,
sorry. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter whether he's like actually on their side or not. All that matters is that they've been told by CNN and by New York Times and MSNBC that Trump is bad.
Yeah.
And everyone associated with him is by default bad. And
right.
Therefore, anything that they do can never be like, it's very communistic in the mindset, because you cannot. Once you've established somebody as an enemy, then anything that they do can never be seen, objectively for whatever it is. So, like, giving books to a freaking children's library is like that. The motives of that have to be questioned, and negative motives must be impugned upon that action. It doesn't matter how charitable, how honorable, how generous. Anything that they do is their motives must like they are bad people. Therefore, everything they do is bad.
Yeah.
Therefore, whatever they're doing must have some sort of bad motives. And this is the way that they think, because this is the way they're programmed to think by their media outlets.
Yeah,
and,
you're right.
What's really the interesting aspect is like how uncivil they've allowed themselves to become, because like these are people that are supposed to pride themselves on being the civil, the upper crust,
when they go low, we go high.
Yeah, exactly. And like, really, is this the high road? Denying children books?
Dr. Seuss books.
Dr. Seuss books.
Yeah,
Denying children
worse.
Dr. Seuss books is the high road.
Yep.
And it just reveals like how inculcated they are in their own nonsense, and how just visceral and hateful these people are. Like, do you honestly think that if there was like a conservative, even a very conservative individual running a library somewhere, and the Obama administration donated or Michelle Obama donated some books or came to speak, that they would be like, oh my gosh, look at this
progressive
brown
woman.
person, like, oh God, they're just trying to convert everybody to Islam, or some crazy
the right
crap.
would do that.
Because they're decent people. And so you see the reflection of the left is like I am so not everything that I impugn that I project onto the people who aren't like me, that like you clearly are.
Yeah.
It's like those people are uncivil, they're evil, they're bigoted, and that's why I have to go way
Condemn
over the top.
Everything.
It's
further
not just
left.
condemning. It is actively taking actions which are
Stupid.
like you're denying children Dr. Seuss books.
I
Like,
know.
How messed up in the head do you have to be? Like how ideologically just brainwashed and
brain dead.
Yeah, like how much of a crappy person, like just objectively, you can't be a good person and do something like that.
Yeah,
like it doesn't matter what your politics are. It doesn't matter, what you personally believe is right
is
or
wrong,
good or bad. Somebody who is literally their job is to provide children access to literature. and they are doing the opposite of their job
That's true,
their personal politics are getting in the way.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be a good person and start down that track and end here. Like, they're not. This woman is not a good person. I don't care what her motives are. The fact that she's susceptible to this propaganda is just an indication of, the fact that, she wasn't going to be a good member of society no matter what her politics were. And I personally see quite a lot of those people on the left. And
yeah, because it's like when Michelle Obama did her Dr. Seuss thing, I didn't hear any outrage from the right.
No, I mean, because who would? Like
we do know now who would.
It's like, oh, this is just progressive propaganda. Then they're trying to fill our children's heads with ideas of anti-racism or something like that. Like, what?
How dare you?
And the only reason it's even remotely accepted, and it, like I said, luckily it wasn't really widely accepted. But the only reason anyone's standing up for this or doing it in the first place is because it's okay to hate Trump and anyone associated with him. These people pride themselves on their open-mindedness, but they are like significantly less open-minded than like every right-winger. They all they do is their psychology is like a mother, right? It's like an Oedipal mother, an oppressive,
helicopter parent.
And so they can't. They differentiate the world into groups of people who are children, with air quotes, and people who are potentially do harm to their children, right? And so their children are all of the disaffected, disabled, transgender minorities in the world.
Yeah.
And they're, anyone who might be a threat to those children is anyone who's been successful. And, this is the psychology of how they react. They're like a mother bear, right? You never want to get as much
Mama
as bad
bear.
as a big mean daddy grizzly bear is. A mother bear is far more dangerous. She weighs less, but she's far more dangerous because she is incredibly protective of her babies. And when we have these women who would naturally be very, very overprotective of their children, and they don't have children, because I'm guessing this woman does not have children.
Let's just say I wouldn't have children with her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. I'm guessing this woman does not have children.
Yeah.
And they enter these they
Academia.
receive these ideas. Yeah. They go into education and stuff like that, and so they separate the world into the potential attackers and their children. And any time any of those potential attackers comes near their children, their motives are immediately assumed to be bad, and they are attacked. A bear never. You can't convince a bear that you're not trying to hurt their children. If you get close to them, they will attack you. It doesn't matter whether you look threatening or not. If you get close to bear cubs, you're going to get eaten or just killed. And this is the way they react. And so they can't actually process whether or not this Melania Trump is actually trying to do something good. They immediately impugn negative motives upon every action that they take towards what their little protected group of whatever is, and in this case apparently it's children, I guess. But and so they must be attacked. They must be pushed away. They must be evicted from the premises because they sense a threat to their children. And this is not a rational consideration here.
It's all emotional. Their actions
exactly,
too.
and they are sort of fed by the media because they have these desires, these insecurities, these whatever makes them feel insufficient, and the media feeds off of that and gets them to buy into these things that ultimately are incredibly contradictory and hypocritical, but they are naturally predisposed towards accepting it because of their psychology and because of human biology. And it's not just women, it's men too, but especially women in these circumstances who did not have their own children and find themselves around children or taking care of others. they get like this, and so it's a very, very irrational consideration that they're making, and so you can't really expect any kind of rational outcome.
Well, that's what my next question is actually going to be like, and you kind of answered it, but like, where does this come from? And I don't know if I have a rational answer, because like you said, the media fuels this sort of behavior, but is it like, are some people born with it, or some people because the way they grow up?
Some people are naturally more predisposed to it, but you know, in a well-constructed society where people like understand, you know, what like a woman is, and they're not like questioning that basic idea that like women exist and men exist and they're different, like, you know, in like a world with any sanity.
Yeah, but all genders are equal, Vince.
Yeah, all 57 of them. Yeah. What's the wage gap between all 57 genders? Elmo watching an explosion. Wide-eyed Elmo. Oh gosh, I love that meme so much.
Great meme. Oh yes.
Sorry, a little sidetracked, but it's, you know, then you know, women can be, you know, they can be instructed on how to properly articulate these are drives that they have towards being protective mothers, and you know, men can properly articulate the natural desires they have to be competitive breadwinners, right? And it's not to say that anyone ought to be barred from these various areas, but you know, you need to like learn in school and from your parents that women and men are not the same, and that they don't interact with each other and the, you know, reality the same. Should be like a really, really basic idea, but it's like kind of
sexist.
Yeah, it's politically incorrect.
Yes.
And so we have to go so far to the other direction that like people don't understand why they exist, and so their natural, you know, emotions and urges are manipulated towards, you know, ideological and you know, special interest globalist goals.
The globalists.
You know, you know, call me a conspiratard or whatever.
Call you Alex Jones.
Yeah, call me Alex Jones. But like, this is all in support of, you know, the globalist paradise where everybody is just a consumer buying, you know, random pieces of crap that, you know, all they do is you know, turn on the TV, or, you know, turn on the TV like in 1984 and do their like calisthenics in the morning, or maybe not even that. That might be bigoted against like fat people or whatever. But you know, it's. They don't want people to understand why they exist or be independent or you know, like, you know,
they don't want
anything productive, because exactly, they are firmly against individuals and families acting as rational, like, you know, cohesive, independent, creative units, because that's inconvenient to the power structures that they want to inhabit and create. You know, they want to be global leaders of, you know, populations that have no way of fighting back. And so, you know, like, a woman understanding why she exists and why she has the emotions and, you know, drives that she does is problematic to that. And the same for a man, which is why, you know, men are emasculated and women are, you know, turned into crazy people.
Birth control makes women crazy and ugly, as Milo would say.
Yeah, bloated and unattractive.
Unattractive and crazy, that's what it is.
Oh.
No, but that's where I always talk about people, like, if you want to understand this stuff better, read James Damore's essay that he wrote, because, you know, everybody called it, right, sexist propaganda. We got a sexist worker at Google. No, if you read it, the
guy is working on a PhD in biology.
Yeah, he's more qualified than anybody in the media and anybody criticizing his piece to understand and study the differences between men and women. And he makes a very reasonable, fair case. He even trashes conservatives in that paper. But he makes like these, like,
he doesn't go nearly far enough, in my opinion. But I liked what Jordan Peterson has to say. You know, I personally, I mean, he that's where James Damore like got his desire to write that thing from. Actually, like, yeah,
I know that.
He went on. Jordan Peterson was the first interview that he did, and he was the inspiration for that memo, the Google memo. And you know, Jordan Peterson is like basically addressing stuff that humans knew for all of time except for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
or like
Everything
the last 5
changed.
years, but whatever.
Yeah.
like just things that people just like, it was so instinctual that they never even questioned it. It's like, yeah, babies come out of there. They're the ones that
Wait, what?
take care of the babies.
Is that where they come from?
Like, these guys are stronger and like.
I tell people that men and women are different, but that doesn't mean men are.
But see, this is like this is the projection of the. No, I know what you're saying. But like, this is the projection of the leftists onto anyone who's actually trying to make a rational consideration of the world, because the leftist can only see hierarchy. And they presume that hierarchy is
That's
bad.
kind of what I mean,
and so they presume difference equals hierarchy. Because they start with this premise that in order for people to be happy, or in order for the world to function better, or just for no reason whatsoever, everybody must be equal.
Yeah.
And so anyone that's not equal, they immediately assume that is, or if there's any disparity whatsoever in treatment or outcome or whatever it may be, then they assume that is rooted in a hierarchy and oppression and bigotry.
Yeah.
And they can't understand that there might be like different people that do different things.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a radical concept. You're just saying
no. Like just like the most
men and women are better at different things. That's how I say it.
The only
Women can
I can't
socialize
make
way
a baby.
better. Wait, you can? Can we try? Live on air? Come on.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. That would be interesting. Okay.
Yes, it would be, actually.
Let's okay. But like some people are good at math. Other people are not good at math.
That's me.
The people who are good at math should do things that relate to math. The people who are not good at math should do things that are not related to math.
That's what I'm doing.
If you see a disparity of people like that are accountants or physicists that are good at math, and then some people that are social workers or writers that are not good at math. Mm-hmm. It's not because like the mathematicians stole the math abilities from the
math
patriarchy. The writers. Like they just like stole their ability to do math, and like they're oppressing them into into positions of non-math competency. Like people are different. They have different aptitudes, and those aptitudes ought to be considered in determining what these people do in a well-functioning society. And that is like the most unimpressive, should be
controversial.
Yeah, there we go. Jesus. Uncontroversial. I forget the small word sometimes. But an uncontroversial idea in the world, and it's not, because we live in clown world. We don't live in a real economy or political climate. We live in this. We live in a world dominated by people who are at war with reality.
Yes. I've always said that the biggest problem with the left right now is that they're out of touch with reality.
They're not only out of touch with it, they're actively at war with it.
Yeah. That's actually, you're right. That's a better way of putting it.
They haven't just like lost, the focus on reality. They see reality and they are trying to change it.
Yeah.
And it's not like, change it in the way that like, it's like they're trying to change the basic facts of reality. They're not trying to manipulate reality for the betterment of humanity. They are just denying it.
Yeah.
Like they will actively they like to call the right the science deniers, but they're the ones saying
57 genders.
Yeah.
Hello.
Like just because you're like men
and women are the same.
Was like there was a passage. It was quoted. It was like his womb, and I'm like
what?
Yeah, this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
Like it was just talking about something trans.
Men can have periods now.
Female to male transgender, and like they got pregnant in the middle of its transition.
Oh my god!
And it says his womb.
Current year people.
This is the world we live in. The world where his womb is not an error. It's not a typo. His womb.
It's fact. the slogan now is when Trump goes high, we go low. That's basically it. You wanted to talk about an important shooting that happened.
Oh, yes.
I don't know enough about this, so you're going to fill in all the
Manual
details.
something or other.
Well, don't dox him, bro.
Well, I mean, okay, whatever.
I'm kidding. I know. They've already captured him and whatnot.
10. Crap, now I have to look this up. 10.
This is a professional
Yeah, but I mean,
production.
like, interestingly enough, this incident is not being covered, like, at all.
No, there was like a shooting in, I think it's Tennessee, right?
Yeah, the shooting in Tennessee.
And there's been very little coverage of it. And very
had this up.
conflicting headlines. There was a Sudanese, right? He was Sudanese.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and go over while you're figuring things out. Sudanese guy shot someplace up, and then Trump, of course, quickly after put in the travel ban for Sudan. And the guy was an immigrant, and he shot, I forget how many people, but like, everybody was jumping on the bandwagon of, oh, he's not this, not that.
I don't know. I swear it was a different town when I read it last time, but it's saying, okay, so it's Emmanuel Khadija Sampson. Fatally shot a woman and injured 6 others at a church in Tennessee that he had previously attended. And
he's a disgruntled
it's saying
worshiper.
Nashville now, but I swear it said something different last time I looked at it. Anyway, well, maybe it's outside of Nashville. It doesn't matter. And this was conveniently ignored quite readily by the media. Like, most of you probably haven't heard about this because far more important things were happening, like football.
Very important.
And let's compare this to another church shooting, Dylan Roof, that was in the media for months, and it was constantly rehashed. Now, obviously, it's a tragedy. Obviously, it deserved coverage, but so does this one. And there were many on the right who were considering that, this is an immigrant who has seemed to deliberately attack white people, and there's a possible racial motivation here, which obviously was quite readily accepted by the mainstream media in the case of Dylan Roof, but completely ignored and in many cases mocked in this case. There was lots of different articles that I saw calling all of the people that were suggesting that this was like a racially motivated incident like bigots, and they were just crazy. This is clearly just an example of bad gun legislation or something. Not enough gun legislation. Not enough. Yeah, the gun just jumped off the shelf and started shooting the people at the church. It was just dragging Samson, down the street, shooting random people.
It's always the gun's fault.
Yeah, it's the gun's fault. Didn't
you know that? Are you denying that, Vince? How dare you?
You're right. No, I'm not. It's absolutely the gun's fault.
I have
people
to say,
don't kill people. Guns kill people.
Yeah, and spoons make Rosie O'Donnell fat.
Yeah, exactly. And cars also make people fat because that's how they get the food.
Yes.
Is the car.
And it's the white patriarchy that created those cars. So
absolutely. And but the white patriarchs aren't responsible. It's just it's just like it's capitalism is an abstract concept that has that has created things that make people bad.
Of course, yeah.
That it's it can't possibly be that people have their own motives and incentives for acting. It is only social and material circumstances that ever affect human beings. But back to the question of whether this was unless they're white people, then they're just bad. And then, unless they're white people doing something bad, then it's always bigotry, white supremacy,
your skin
whatever.
color determines that you're bad.
Yeah, exactly. But only if you're white. Like everybody else is just a victim of material circumstances. If you're white, you're just whatever you do is of your own evil agency, your own just completely misguided moral decisions. You can make moral decisions, but every one you make is bad.
Bad, yeah.
No one else can make any moral decisions. Like they're just victims of circumstances.
This is why they want robots.
So, yeah, they completely deny the possibility that this was a racially motivated incident because brown people can't be racist.
Yeah,
it's just a fact.
Yeah,
because basically racist just means white person. And so I mean, it's not, I'm not saying anything controversial here. Just look up your average African American studies professor, and they say that like all white people are racist because racism is, the social justice definition is privilege plus power. All white people are privileged, and white people have power. Yeah. So therefore, all white people are racist. So, but only white people are racist. Anyway, and so it's impossible that this has any racial motivations. It's mocked in the media for weeks, and then yesterday morning, the police released a note that was found in Sampson's car saying that this was revenge for, Dylan Roof.
Dylan Roof, yeah.
So, yeah. I'm pretty sure none of those people in that church in Tennessee had any relation to Dylan Roof himself. So this was clearly an attack on white people to get back at a white person who committed an attack on black people.
Didn't you say earlier that Stefan was like bringing this up and people were calling him alt-right?
Molyneux, was trying to, actually examine the facts that were available to him at the time, and he made a better guess at what the reality was than the media, which has infinitely more resources and and access and time.
People. And they should, but they don't.
No, they don't, because the smart people actually question their own premises and whatever. They have ideologues. That's all the media is. It's a bunch of ideologues with press cards. Exactly. They're left-wing ideologues with press cards. Anyway, so they were like, they were insulting the very idea that this might have anything to do with racial motivations. And the next day, all of these media sources were forced to report on that note, and they pretty much everybody that said that this was maybe this was racially motivated. It was racially motivated. Like, it was very clearly motivated by a desire to get revenge for the evils of white people, and there's not much more you can say.
You really can't.
But, it was nice to see at least a little bit of indication. Of course, none of these people have enough awareness to actually realize that they were idiots in this circumstance. But hopefully, some of the people that read these websites will see oh wait. They said it was crazy that this might have had something to do with Dylan Roof. And then it turned out that he had a note saying that this was because of Dylan Roof and that he was trying to get revenge on white people.
Yep. Oh. What pisses me off is their game now is they put out a headline or a statement that claims something. It can be Trump did this, Trump did that, this shooter was not racially motivated. But then the correction comes days later at the bottom of the website or in the back of the newspaper, and nobody reads the correction.
They're not going to acknowledge it. I mean, but the thing is, there's no correction in this circumstance because, they're just basically writing op-eds, but they're writing them under, news.
The objective CNN.
And so it's like, well, and Newsweek was the one that I was looking at. It's he's just because it's not listed as an opinion article, but the guy's clearly very opinionated when he's talking about this. But what he's doing is opining, and he's just putting opinions under the news section, but they're still opinions, so they don't have to retract them. It's just their opinion that this is ridiculous for Stefan Molyneux to impugn possibly racial motivations on this Sampson guy. But I mean, they still think it's ridiculous even when it becomes the truth. And so they don't actually even have to publish retractions, but this is becoming more and more regular. It used to be what you were saying was accurate, but now they're not even bothering to report incorrect facts. They're just opining and then leaving it there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's kind of similar to what we're going to talk about next, and we're going to do we'll talk about the take a knee thing at the end. But I hate talking about that anymore. But the one thing I was going to mention was that Puerto Rico, everybody in the media is freaking out over Trump because he tweets out about the Puerto Rican mayor saying that she's a bad leader. And that he's helping out with Puerto Rico as much as he can. And the media was first reporting a few days ago how she literally said that Trump is killing us with inefficiency. That is exactly what she said. And they did report on that because it's, look at her, she's fighting against evil Drumpf. Oh, great. But then when Trump goes after her for saying, ridiculous claims, calling him that, saying he's killing us, when in fact he was responding to all the aid. The Puerto Rican governor was praising Trump, saying he's fulfilled all all of our calls. We've asked for this. He's given us this. Nothing but praise. And she's being ungrateful while they're trying. Because, remember, Puerto Rico's an island. You can't just drive your stuff, the relief aid there. It's all got to be by boat or by plane. So that's already very hard. The communications are down. They have no electricity. The roads are all covered with, debris and trees and, parts of buildings have fallen off. And they're complaining because he's killing them apparently. And what's ironic is she was at like a press conference and she's like complaining how they're not giving them like, supplies. And she has like all these bottles of water behind her just sitting there. It's like, well, do it. I mean, come on. So I'm just pissed off because they're all acting like Trump's bad and she's the victim when he is helping him out as much as he can in the circumstances. And like Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote that Hamilton play, is like, Trump is going to HELL. I'm like, you freaking, self-righteous, ignorant prick. Urgh. Continue.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you know anything about this?
Hamilton. Well. Yeah, I know about this because you can more or less apply what I was saying earlier about the Dr. Seuss books to this. It doesn't matter what he does. It's just presumed that whatever he's doing is like bad.
Yeah.
It's like,
have you seen those memes where it's like
they denied books
to children?
Like, I can't illustrate that enough. These people deny books to children. And you're expecting them to like be grateful when Trump sends aid? Like, no, I mean,
my standards are getting lower.
Everything is not back to perfect, right now. Therefore, whatever it is, it's not enough. So it was never going to be enough. And personally, what I think Trump should have done is just saved the tax dollars and said, you know what, you can be your own country. Your debt's forgiven. You're never going to pay it back anyway. Just screw off.
It might actually be better for them.
No, it won't be.
I know,
they'll be significantly worse off because they'll stop getting aid. But whatever, at least we won't have to pay the taxes. Because Puerto Rico is Democratic, stronghold.
Oh yeah. Well, like, this mayor was a Democrat. Imagine my shock.
Wow.
And she's like, it's just I just hate because then you see all these people on social media getting outraged, always outraged over everything. I mean, Trump, like I was saying, those memes I was saying about, like, there'll be like a picture of Trump, like let's say Hurricane Harvey, and he's giving them the kids food. Like people would take like CNN and like Photoshop in the headline says Trump is stealing food from
exactly.
black kids. I'm just like, they would do it. I'm like waiting for the meme to become real.
I mean, like, what was?
I mean, it already
when he
is
was
real.
Moving into the White House and like the New York Times released an article.
Yeah.
Like
that's not the first time a white man's kicked a black.
The bust of Martin Luther King from the Oval Office. No,
there was just a guy
was standing in front of it.
I hated that. Oh my god.
It's like they don't.
You people are stupid. You're so
stupid. They're just driven by a pathological, like, irrational hatred of this man.
Yeah.
Because he stands in the way of their slow march towards, like,
literally
just. Ugh. I don't even know.
Some of them I think are stupid, and they're like, they jump at anything. They don't check any facts. They don't research more. They go, oh my god, Trump, he did something bad, and they overreact. But then some of them I do think it's exactly what you said, where it's like this sort of drive to like take anything he does and turn it bad somehow.
Yeah, like they're not objectively looking at reality and trying to determine, what is good, what is bad, what is, what could be improved. They are only looking through the lens of, is Trump doing it? Then it's bad.
Yeah.
Like that is the only like filter that it has to pass through in their head before they, make a value judgment on whatever's happening. Is Trump doing it? Then it's bad. If Trump not doing it, who cares?
I thought of two ideas. One, we should get Trump to somehow say the Earth is round, so that we get the left to say the Earth is flat.
I mean,
but they go
you
for
probably
that.
Would like.
That'd be great.
I don't know. I mean, you could.
Those flat earthers are having like a revolution right now.
Whatever. Like Trump could come out tomorrow and like say we need to all people in this country need to, or all non-white people in this country need to start paying reparations or something like that, and like name some like massive figure, and like the headlines in the New York Times would be like Trump seeks to undercut the massive amount of reparations that are due to people of color in this country. Like, what?
I love how they use people of color now. You notice that? They don't say black. They don't say minorities. It's people of color.
Yeah, which is like almost the same as colored people, which is like
this.
It's
just
bad.
more words. It's more words. People of color. You got 3 words there, not colored people. 2 words, simpler, better. But no,
like
gotta
colored
complicate the
people
language.
has like an incredibly racist connotation, but people of color is somehow fine.
It just sounds nicer. People of color. So happy.
Why am I getting waved at?
Oh, yeah. We have visitors. People love us. We're famous.
Are we like live in the hub or something?
Yeah. No, we're not, Sally. But there was this once, I had Alex, Alex, on last week. And he said, like, his girlfriend said that at this one place, they always play the line 90.7 FM. So they're probably playing our crap. So that store, if you're listening, we love you.
Shout out to wherever that is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
shout out to store somewhere in Pennsylvania. We love you. But what this also ties into what we were just talking about, where Trump basically like triggers these reactions, is the NFL take a knee thing. Because like I told you, he knows very well that if he says something, he's going to get a reaction, and he knows what reactions he's going to get. So let's say these NFL people are kneeling. He goes, let's brand myself as the patriotic guy. So I'm going to say they should stand. Even better, that's branding them as unpatriotic, and they hate Trump. Anything he does is bad. Anything Drumpf does is bad. So they're going to do the opposite of what I tell them to do. So they're going to kneel, and more of them are going to kneel. And that's what they did. They play right into his hand. They're so...
Exactly. I mean, this can only end... sorry.
That's okay.
We were talking about it last week. This will end in either people stop kneeling or the destruction of the NFL, because people that watch the NFL don't like to see that. They actually,
people are tired of this
in general
stuff.
they have. There are people that watch the NFL. So, like, are they watching the NFL because they like football, or are they watching the NFL because they want to support their team, or that like whatever the region is? Maybe some of them just really love football completely, with no preference for any team. But some of them, a lot of these people, usually they feel allegiance towards a team, and that means that you're predisposed towards people that feel allegiance towards some sort of in group and some sort of pride in their association, right? So these are people that are naturally predisposed towards patriotism and being proud of their country. And when they see people disrespecting their country, that does not make them happy. And so it's nobody's thinking this through, but like once again, it's just the lens of, does Trump want this to happen? If yes, then it's bad. If no, then we should do it.
Someone said something really stupid to me. I was telling him that I was arguing that Trump was being patriotic by saying you should stand for the flag, and he said, no, you know what's more patriotic? Protests. I'm like, they're protesting the anthem though. That's not patriotic. I'm like, that's what these people aren't thinking.
A level of like mental gymnastics that like
as like a backflip and like a
so I get it. You don't have a spine. That's how you can do all these mental gymnastics. Get it?
Yes. Oh, you're right. It's a revelation.
God.
I know, it just gets annoying. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It used to be boring where it's like leftists say crazy things about this and that. Now it's just getting kind of just sort of annoying because it's like they're not even trying to do anything with...
come up with a new one.
Yeah, with some creativity.
I don't know, just... at least present the illusion that you're unbiased, at some level. I don't know.
I know, it hurts.
To cover?
One thing we could talk about is Milo's Free Speech Week, because that was
sort of about that.
Kind of okay. I'll fill you in. Well, it's actually a very, very brutal, interesting tale of bureaucratic stonewalling. What started out was, they were going to have this Free Speech Week this week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I think Thursday. And they had a list of speakers. They had Milo, of course, was going to be there every day. They had Ann Coulter, Uncle Steve, Steve Bannon. That's what Milo calls it now, Uncle Steve. And they were going to have Lawrence Southern and Pamela Geller, lots of, top, AAA people in the new right. And so the Berkeley Patriot, which is basically like the State Patriot here.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, shout out to them. Great people at the State Patriot. Love them. Only good source of news, that's Penn State. They would, they're like a paper. They're very new. They're sort of a conservative libertarian club. And they sponsored the Free Speech Week. But then, as things started to get closer to the event, Milo had to bring up the money, and he basically had to give the school $65,000 with no guarantee that the event would happen, no guarantee that he'd get the money back if it was canceled. So he had to give away this money, basically. This is just so the event can actually sort of maybe happen. And so that happened. And then when we got close to the Free Speech Week, he had the speakers lined up. Everything was getting in gear. There were some hiccups on Milo's end, but basically, it was a lot of stonewalling from the administration. They were demanding a lot of things. They wouldn't answer emails. And at one point, they even said, you have to pay this money within 90 minutes or the event isn't going to happen. 90 minutes, they had to pay a certain amount of money. But they did it. And then as the weekend came, the Berkeley Patriot dropped their sponsorship. Why? 2 reasons, I think. One, stonewalling with lots of paperwork they don't understand. Could have slowed them down. But the second one, which Milo has said that he's heard, is that the university has basically threatened their academic future. I don't know how, but they basically probably said...
Of course. I mean, it's not... Like, who's going to stop them?
Yeah, I know. I know, yeah.
This isn't
There's no check and balance to stop these people.
No. I mean, there is no accountability in these places because everybody that runs them agrees with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they had a press conference.
Maybe you get one conservative economics professor and then a guy who's like a autistic centrist history professor that doesn't get with the political program well enough, but he just lists off dates.
If he could say
Wikipedia
dates
or something.
Yeah.
Everybody else in these institutions is they couldn't even conceive of voting for a Republican or believing that maybe Donald Trump is not the worst thing that has ever happened to this country. And they're just so into this that they can get away with anything. They can do the most corrupt crap ever because as long as it's those people like Trump, I don't like them. And it doesn't matter whether they're upholding any values or virtues or reflecting any kind of consistency or principle.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. All that matters is that the people that they disagree with don't get to talk.
Yep. Well, because then it resulted in, because the Berkeley Patriot pulled out, then Milo, basically the event from the university was quote unquote canceled. That's a very sort of low way of saying it, but basically they couldn't have the event, but Milo could technically come as like a citizen and speak there. Something like that.
Citizen, but whatever.
Yeah. But so he came and spoke for 40 minutes with Pamela Geller, and then they left, and none of the other speakers spoke. So the event was wasn't a disaster, but it got a lot of drama. So it looks good on Milo's part, but the bad part is a little disappointment because you didn't get the good speakers. But Uncle Steve's coming back in April, so he's not going away. Yeah. And Antifa didn't hurt anybody big time because they enforced a no mask policy. Couldn't have any covering of your face. So they didn't come out. Isn't that shocking?
I love this one, the no mask stuff. Is it the precedent for that is actually set by the KKK. So all of the legal precedent
that's what Scott Adams was talking about.
All of the legal precedent that they used to enforce the no mask stuff was set by the KKK. So they're literally once again we have to defend we have to defend the people from Democrats in masks.
Yeah. And Antifa is a terrorist organization, and so is the KKK. It's like the people keep trying.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're listed as a terror group now.
UHS.
I forgot about that. I didn't even see that. I was so surprised when I heard about it later.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? They don't tell you that. That story.
No, nobody knows. I'm sure there's.
They don't tell you.
I'm surprised that I didn't hear it from the sources that I get news from.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not surprised at all that I didn't hear it from left-wing news sources because You know, they would have to they can't spin that. They like
so they don't report it. If they can't spin, they don't report it.
Exactly. Like you can't. It's like they got hundreds of thousands of signatures of people that wanted them. Like they are obviously
no.
Anybody who has ever even like read the definition of terrorism knows that they commit/threaten violence for a political goal.
Yep.
That is the definition of
Pretty
terrorism.
Clear.
That is literally exactly what Antifa does.
Yeah. No, as Don Lemon would say, well, you gotta remember, these people are fighting fascism. I mean, some of their means might not be that good, but they're fighting fascism. I'm like, oh, God. But you know what's interesting is they were actually called a terrorist organization during the Obama era. They kept it quiet until later, and they released a few months ago. But it was actually, they were classified as a terrorist group by Obama. Not by Obama, of course not. In Obama's time, right at the end.
His administration.
Yeah, it was like right at the end, right before Trump was coming in. And isn't it funny how nobody talks about it?
No.
It's a weird thing because even Fox doesn't even like saying the word Antifa. You notice that they will say protesters. Gutfeld's the only one that really says it.
Fox, I feel like there's such a big platform with, and pretty much everything that they say is reported, on a meta level. Anything that they say, and so like once they start coming out, like if they start coming out against Antifa, then that sort of gives the left room to defend them. Whereas if the left is the one that are like, going out of their way to support Antifa, then they obviously look bad. But if they can go on and go, well, it's like these, John Hannity or Tucker Carlson hates Antifa because like he hates free speech or something like that. Then they're much more justified than saying like, oh, these people that just burned down the buildings, tried and failed to break the windows of Starbucks.
They need a trash can.
Yeah, are attacking trash cans in the street. They're exercising their free speech. But
of course.
If they get somebody on the right to attack them first, then that's what I'm saying. Like I think that Fox doesn't cover it because they, if they were the ones to say it first, then the left would have then the left would have an opening to be like, well, the people we don't like them, so therefore they're our friends. But if they are forced to present to the populace that these people are doing something we like, then nobody's gonna like the media. Then they're gonna like. Even moderate Democrats are going to be like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I like my Starbucks windows intact.
Hipsters need to still go to Starbucks and get their coffee.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with more Rio News.